Okay, so maybe the title's a little clickbaity. The draft combine is still important, so the one place that we get to watch all prospects on an even playing field and just get to see who's the best without the like pre-existing context of like you're being thrown to by Carson Beck or you're being thrown to by Joe McCool. That's not even a real person, but whatever. And so it's important, but it's not a make or break thing. People need to stop putting so much stock and faith into it. Because first up, 90%, like not even 90%, that's a bit too high even for me. But a lot of top prospects aren't going to combines anymore. Like a bunch of prospects last year skipped the combine, they skipped their pro days. They're not going to these things anymore because it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Because if you're a high rated prospect and you do well at the combine, your draft position jumps maybe half a point. If you're a high rated prospect and you do badly at the combine, your draft stock drops hard. If you're not a high rated prospect and you do well at the combine, your draft stock doesn't jump enough to make a significant difference. And if you're a not high rated prospect and you do bad at the combine, nothing changes for you. You're just an even worse rated prospect now. It's not worth most prospects' time. And people put so much stock into it, especially for the non-football drills, but that's a whole thing that we're going to get into in a minute. But like people put so much stock into the draft combine that it boggles my mind. It genuinely does not make any sense to me. And so we're about to get into exactly why I don't like the draft combine as an end-all be-all. So my name is Ian. Welcome to ITP Media, and this is now. Let's get into the first problem I have with the draft combine, that being the 40-yard dash, because everyone puts so much stock in it when it doesn't test that much football. It just doesn't. If we take a look at the numbers, if we take a look at the numbers of the people who have the fastest times ever, which we will do in just a minute, if we take a look at the event as a whole, what does it do to test football? It doesn't. You're testing straight line speed for 40 yards without pads. Now, naturally, like shuttle runs and bench press, you don't have pads. And I guess it's supposed to be a base speed test. But it's not a football drill. You will never, ever see that kind of thing in football. The majority of positions will not need to sprint 40 yards in a straight line. And if you're like a running back who needs to sprint 40 yards in a straight line, then I think I think you're good. I think you know how to do that. And at that point, it's literally just who can be in this one very specific situation the fastest. It doesn't make any sense why people put so much stock in this one straight line run. And yet, because the NFL is about so much more than that. You got to move side to side. You got to be able to stop. You got to be able to start. You got to be able to run under pressure. You can't just be able to run in a straight line really fast and everyone can go, oh, wow, you're going to be such a good player. That's not how it works. That's not how football works. You have to be able to run in more than one direction fast. And you have to be able to change directions fast. Alright, now that I've calmed down a little bit, let's take a look at the fastest 40-yard dash times of all time. See how all of their careers are working out. Because this is the one drill that everyone puts so much stock into, and I don't understand why. So, first up, the fastest official time for the 40-yard dash ever. Xavier Worthy with a time of 4.21 seconds in 2024. Now, he's on the Chiefs. He's a solid-looking receiver. He's had, 500, 600 yards every season. In the last 600 yards in his rookie season, 500 yards in his last season. He looks solid. He has the talent to put it together, and he is blazing fast. Like, that 40-yard dash time does not lie. I distinctly remember on that game against the Ravens, that first touchdown he scored, he just managed to zip past everyone in the universe. And the thing is, he just needs to stay out of trouble. Now, I know he hasn't been in that much trouble, but Chiefs receivers and trouble go together like Patrick Mahomes and Super Bowl rings, or Tom Brady and Super Bowl rings, or Terry Bradshaw and Super Bowl rings, or the Jets and being losers. Either way, you just gotta make sure you keep yourself accountable when you're a Chiefs receiver. So I have faith in him. He just needs to make sure he doesn't run over anyone with his car. Then, okay, second best time is John Ross with a time of 4.22 seconds in 2017. He's another receiver. He bounces around the league as a solid, okay option for a while. Kind of is unofficially retired. He hasn't played a game since 2024. He hasn't played consistently since 2021 because in his most recent season, I think he caught one pass, maybe played in one game. Let me just check my notes real quick. Where are my notes? There are my notes. Let's check my notes. Yeah. In his most recent play, he got 2 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. Hasn't played consistently since 2021 on the Giants. And even then, it wasn't that great numbers. 28 targets, 11 receptions, 224 yards. Not really what you're looking for a guy drafted as high as he was. Because he was drafted, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was drafted 9th overall. And he just hasn't had the talent to do it. He missed all of 2022 and 2023 with something. Not sure whether he was just not signed or whether he was injured. But he just missed that. And so it just wasn't a great... He hasn't had a great career. Third best time, 4.23 seconds set by Kalen Barnes. Kalon... This is how you spell it. In 2022. He was a cornerback. He played 2 games in the NFL after being drafted. And then never played again. He got drafted in the 7th round to the Panthers. Didn't even make their team. Played instead for the Minnesota Vikings for 2 games in 2022. And then has not been seen in football since. So not a great career. Okay, then we get to one of the more interesting guys on the list. Rondell Menendez, wide receiver, drafted in 1999 of time of 4.24 seconds. So he was selected in the 7th round by the Falcons in that year draft class. Then did some really good stuff in the preseason. A lot of kick returns. You're going to see a lot of kick returners on this list, by the way. 63-yard punt return in a preseason game. And then in a different preseason game, in the final game of the 1999 preseason, he asked for more playing time, got it, and then tore his meniscus. And then he got released with a torn meniscus. So after that, he kind of bounced around for rosters during the 1999 season. He was on the Dolphins, he was on the Colts, he was on the Commanders, then known as the Redskins, who then traded him to the Eagles during the following offseason. And right after that, he temporarily retired to go care for his mother who had had a stroke. Then after that, he went back to the Eagles, where he was then assigned to NFL Europe duty, which basically meant that he got assigned to the minor leagues of football. He then retired for real after that, and has not been seen since. So he kind of had a mess of a career. Okay, next guy, Chris Johnson, 4.24 seconds, 2008, CJ2K. 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, 2009 Offensive Player of the Year, 2,000 yards in a season, an incredible running back in his day. Man, he was. I remember watching him when I was like a little kid. He was a fun guy to watch, especially like he was just fun, man. He was blazing fast. So he's kind of like the best player on this list, at least so far. There's one other player that I think might qualify to beat him, but we're gonna see in time. After that, Jerome Mathis, wide receiver, 4.26 seconds, 2005. Spent 4 seasons in the NFL, 1-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro, and Special Teams Player of the Year, all in 2005. This was as a kick returner with 1,542 return yards. He never played in the NFL after some domestic violence allegations came out in 2008. He played 3 seasons for the Texans, and then after that got signed to the Commanders/Skins. Was waived with because of the allegations, and then went to the CFL and the AFL, and played 2 more seasons there. Then he was kind of done. Never heard from him again. Right after that, Dree Archer, running back, 4.26 seconds as well, 2014. 2 seasons in the NFL, didn't do much besides being an okay kick returner with the Steelers. I think he had like 400 yards and 300 yards in his 2 seasons. He was fine. I know he wasn't fine. He wasn't good. He wasn't good. Fine is who I would define the guy in a couple of his options. Also tied for 4.26 seconds is Reek Woolen, 2022 Pro Bowler, All Rookie team, Super Bowl champion with the Seahawks, one of the top young defensive backs in the league. He's got some incredible potential. I think that he can surpass Chris Johnson as the best player on this list so far. Up next, the guy who I would qualify as a fine career, DJ Turner, also with 4.26 seconds, 2023. Now it's really early into his career, but he's a rotational corner for the Bengals. He's fine enough. Started most every game last year, had 2 interceptions. Should be around for a while as a second option, third option cornerback. He's going to be pretty good. Oh no. 4.27 seconds in 2020 is Henry Ruggs. I'm not touching that whatsoever. All right, after that, Stanford Route, 4.27 seconds in 2005. Another cornerback. Was drafted by the Raiders in the second round. Got a couple of starts during the Raiders, then did some pretty nice stuff in there. Barely ever got burned. He was a pretty good cornerback, but not like elite level. He signed a pretty hefty deal with the Chiefs in 2012 after signing a 3-year, $31.5 million extension with Oakland, but then got released the year after despite starting 15 games and recording 4 interceptions. Then he was released by the Chiefs in 2012. The same year he signed a 3-year, $19.6 million contract with them. Then got signed by the Texans later in 2012 and didn't really play much. So he just had a weird 2012, I guess. And last in the top 10, Marquise Goodwin, 4.27 seconds, 2013, a wide receiver. Had some pretty okay seasons with Buffalo, San Francisco, opted out of the 2020 season, but yeah. Like, his best season came in 2017 with San Francisco, where he had 962 yards, I guess 2 touchdowns. Either way, he was fine. He was an okay receiver. Again, another kind of 2-3 option like John Ross, except he's better than John Ross. But like, out of these top 10, we've got 2 guys I would call top level. 3 guys I would 3 or 4 guys I would call okay. Then no, 2 guys I would call top level. Like 2 or 3 guys I would call okay, and then the rest were kind of just bums. Except for Henry Ruggs. We don't talk about Henry Ruggs. But like the 40-yard dash, this is all like the 40-yard dash should not have that much stock put into it. Like I said, it doesn't matter how fast you are going in a straight line. That's not a football situation. And I know it's the same thing with kind of these football drills they're doing where they're not covered by defenders. And it's in a vacuum. You're not, and I know it's like, if you can't do it in a vacuum, you can't do it in real life. Like, yes, you can. Yes, you can do it in real life. Because that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be training for real life. But that's not what you're doing. You're training them to work in a vacuum. You can't work in a vacuum like that. That's not testing football. That's testing base skills. And sure, that might be what you want, but you don't want to see these guys go off against in a skills competition. If you wanted that, have a skills competition. Don't have a combine. There's a difference. I need to calm down again. 1 second. Now, I'm talking a lot of hypotheticals. Let's talk about real examples. Most recently, Anthony Richardson. Dude was incredible at the combine. Like 40.5 inch vertical, 4.43 40, 244 pounds quarterback, incredible arm strength. Like, this dude looked insane. I mean, obviously he was going to be like a raw quarterback, but the physicals were there. And I don't know if this is down to the fact that it was if it was the Colts or just him not having a work ethic. And I think it was that second one. Because he hasn't really panned out. I mean, it's just not great. Especially when you're a 4th overall pick. And if we want to talk about someone who absolutely rose like it, Mike Mamula, back in 1999. Or 1995, I believe. Yeah, 1995. Excuse me. This dude trained for the combine, scored basically record-setting for his position. He was a defensive end, scored records at his position, and didn't quite pan out, and basically became the prototypical workout warrior. That's not like during his 77 game career, he had like 31 and a half sacks after setting actual records and getting traded and this was the exchange. The Eagles traded up to get him. The 12th overall pick in 2 seconds for the 7th overall pick in the 1995 draft, trying to draft Mike Mamula. And then, you know who the Bucs drafted instead? Warren Sapp. The Bucs drafted Warren Sapp because this dude had such a good combine performance that the Eagles just had to have him. The workout warriors are just the dumbest thing to me, because you take this one specific group of this one specific position, this one specific incident, this one specific moment in time where they're supposed to perform, and they perform really well, but it doesn't always correlate. Workout warriors are the dumbest thing to me. Don't defend the workouts. Don't defend the combine. If the player is good, his production will go beyond the combine. I have never seen a certain player perform really well at the draft combine and said, he's going to be the future. And then my camera died. And then I was kind of left trying to figure out what I was going to say after that, because pretty much 90% of this was improv. But, yeah, I think my main goal of that was to say that the draft combine doesn't really define a player's career, and players are beginning to learn that. It doesn't define their draft stock, and it shouldn't define their draft stock. Shoot, my video's playing on my phone. But, yeah, a player shouldn't be defined by the combine. Player can skip the combine and no one should think less of them, because the combine doesn't test as much football as it really should. And is that a fundamental problem with football? Yeah, maybe. Is the combine still fun? Absolutely. Is it still the best test that we get for players all around? Also, absolutely. It's just people put far too much weight on it for no particular reason. And it's annoying. Anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching. Listen, baby, your wish is my command. Now, baby, won't you understand that your wish is my command? What can I do to make my baby understand?